It's the early 90s and video games are on the rise again. People are putting hours into finding Star Road in Super Mario World or blazing through Green Hill Zone for the 15th time in Sonic the Hedgehog. Both of these games are iconic and have given gamers countless hours of enjoyment, but they also caused one of the biggest battles in gaming history, one that would change the way we look at gaming and consoles forever. Welcome to A Brief History, a show where we take a quick look at some of the most important and influential moments in gaming history. Today, we're talking about the console wars, a battle between the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and a battle that would change the course of gaming forever. Let's take a look. Let's talk about the Genesis, Sega's entry to the 16-bit generation.
Sega challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
Sega was no stranger to the video game market, having released the Sega Master System in 1986. However, this console was easily outsold by the then dominant Nintendo Entertainment System. Sega decided that for their next console, they were going to go all out.
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does.
Sega released the Sega Genesis in 1989 with a bang. The marketing campaign for the console was designed to do two things: brag about how powerful the console was, and attack Nintendo directly. This marketing campaign worked better than anyone could have anticipated, because it not only showed consumers that Sega was looking to be a serious contender in the gaming market, but it also put them as the more adult option. Launching with games like Space Harrier 2, Altered Beast, and Tommy Lasorda Baseball, it showed that Sega knew that gaming was changing, and so were gamers. But Nintendo wasn't going to take this lying down.
Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible...
Nintendo was a juggernaut in the gaming industry, having saved it from total destruction by releasing the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985. Because of their overwhelming popularity, they were in no rush to release a successor to the NES, as sales were still good and the popularity was at an all-time high. When the Genesis started to gain popularity, however, Nintendo realized that they had to create something before they lost their already slipping footing in the market. So, in 1991, they released the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The SNES proved to be a more than worthy competitor to the Genesis, as it was just as powerful and had Nintendo's signature quality games such as Super Mario World and F-Zero. Even with a 2-year head start, the Genesis looked like it had finally met its match. But something was about to happen that would change all of that. In 1990, Sega hosted an internal competition for employees to create a mascot for the company, as at the time they didn't have one. Many designs were sent in, but the one that ended up winning was a drawing by Naoto Oshina. This is Mr. Needlemouse. Drawn on a napkin and sent into the competition, this character would grow to become one of the most recognizable video game characters of all time.
This is Sonic the Hedgehog from Sega Genesis.
After about a year in development, Sonic the Hedgehog released in June of 1991. Using the design by Oshina and another design submitted by another employee as the villain of the series, Dr. Eggman, it was a huge success. Gamers everywhere couldn't get enough of the fast-moving hedgehog with attitude, and many people liked it more than the slower adventures of Mario. With the two mascots battling it out for supremacy, Nintendo and Sega went back and forth with each other for a while, and it looked like it could go on for years more, but Sega slipped. In 1992, barely a year after the release of Sonic the Hedgehog and the same year as its highly anticipated sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sega released the Sega CD.
Hey! You still don't have a Sega CD? What are you waiting for, Nintendo to make one?
This add-on not only allowed for better music to be played on the system, but full motion video as well. While it was technically more advanced, it cost $300, which was more than the Genesis was going for at the time, which was about $100.
Machine has appeared in homes across America.
Double and redouble his power. 32.
2 years later, in 1994, Sega released the 32X, a cartridge add-on that would expand the power of the Genesis and keep it alive for just a little bit longer. Unfortunately, this proved to be entirely too expensive for Sega, as they lost money fast and had to rush their follow-up console, the Saturn, to market. Nintendo, on the other hand, was taking a different, cheaper, and arguably more effective way to expand the life of the SNES. In 1993, Nintendo released Star Fox. This was one of the first games that used a new form of technology Nintendo dubbed the Super FX chip. This chip would allow for more advanced 3D gaming. With more polygons being on screen at once, developers could create more technically advanced games without having to use an add-on like Sega was doing. This proved to be cheaper and more sustainable, with less resources having to be used to create new hardware. It was impressive, but that was not the only advancement in gaming they were able to make in this generation. In 1994, Nintendo released Donkey Kong Country. This was the first home console game to use pre-rendered 3D graphics. It was a revolutionary concept, and it showed consumers that Sega was doing the most with their add-ons and that there were cheaper ways to go about things. Like I said before, Sega had to rush their new console, the Saturn, to market. This was for two reasons. The first one being they realized that the Genesis was on its way out and the Super Nintendo was still going strong. They had to release something new. The second reason was because there was a newcomer to the video game market, and it was taking the world by storm. That newcomer was Sony with their PlayStation. Nintendo, on the other hand, they weren't as worried about the PlayStation, as they kept the Super Nintendo running for 2 years after the release of the Sony PlayStation. In the end, Nintendo ended up winning the console war, and Sega lost. Really bad. So bad, in fact, that in 2001, they left the console making business. Now, even though Nintendo won, Sega's legacy still lives on, and many people have fond memories of playing on the Genesis console. The console wars is an interesting bit of gaming history, and it's a precursor to the console wars that we are still seeing today, with Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft battling it out for supremacy of our living room. How will it turn out, and will we see history repeat itself? We're just gonna have to wait and see. With that being said, that's your brief history of the console wars. Next time we're gonna talk about... You're gonna have to stick around and find out. I'm Andrew Meredith, and we'll see you next time.